traders, Raghee here, and in this update, let's take a look at when and why we may want to look at calls and ETFs when we're trading our futures. Now, granted, I'm talking to a group of futures in the futures room, a few times a week in the morning, and I'm a futures trader as well, but there are certain environments where controlling risk can be better done, and really optimizing in many ways capital can be better done, or at least an alternative is to use an ETF option. So let's talk about the YM this morning. I'll walk you through one of my setups. So this was one of the two pitches that I look at in the morning. First pitch and second pitch are VScore and HPMR, which stands for hourly price movement ranges. The one is a volume tool, VScore. The other is a volatility measurement, HPMR. We had a VScore low. You can see right in here. So the VScore lit up. We hit the low, and that is a potential buying opportunity. Now, a couple things that I know about this market is it's only, it's right about 10 o'clock, and I'm still in sort of the volatile period of the market. Luckily, because it is 10, I at least cleared the clearing range. We've gotten through that very, very volatile part of the morning, that 9:30 to 10. So at least there's that. So we get the opportunity at the HPMR low, and we start to look for a buy. Now, the issue is this. My range is 105 points. I know that on average, the typical volatility of the Dow could take me to about 120 on the low end to 150 on sort of the average. So that's not necessarily an exhaustive move, and the Dow could punch down to lower lows. So to accommodate for even a plus or minus 15, what we'll do is we'll price out the DIA calls. In this case, we went with the May 7 DIA calls. Now, those ran us, some folks in the room picked them up for as little as $1.93 or 90. Some paid $1.95. I'll just use $2 to make this conversation easy. So you pay $200 or less per option on the DIA. And again, the cool thing about that is it's affordable and it's scalable, right? So let's say you look at your budget and your risk. And let's say you say, Rog, I don't want to lose more than $500 or $250. Great. So your budget can be somewhere in the vicinity of $1,000 to $1,500 worth of the option. So that's what we do. We step in, buy the option, and we know immediately what our risk is. And so in this case, by buying multiples, you can see the advantage of doing that. We can scale out as the market's moving higher. If we get a second surge into the latter half of the day, fantastic. We've still got a few of those original $200 calls that we bought as the market moves higher. Break even stop, and we're protected. That's the way in which you can look at setups on the futures contracts and use the ETF alternative. And this opens up the door to other sector ETFs. This opens up the door to other individual stocks. There's a lot that we can do with this. But here's the important part. Regardless of what happens the remainder of the day, doesn't matter. Regardless of what happens the remainder of the day, by noon, I can be done. That's what's so important here. I can be done with my trading for the day with a break-even stop, and I've already scaled out. Scaling out reduces risk. Break-even stop reduces the risk to my capital, and all I'm doing is risking house money, as it's said. And so you can see all the adjustments we can make when we focus on the first 2 hours of the day rather than rapid firing the day trading throughout the day, which I do not believe in. First 2 hours of the day, VScore low, and in this case, using the DIA. All right. And by the way, if this kind of approach, and I know the word budget and affordability and ETF alternatives are somewhat different, especially if you're a futures trader, or maybe even if you're a ETF trader, you may not think to trade the YM via the DIA, and you may not think to look at the YM instead of the DIA, which is what I do. In June, actually not too far, in just about 4 or 5 weeks, we're going to be starting our day trading class. So if some of these types of setups are appealing to you, or if you're frustrated with lackluster fills on your longer term time frames, stay tuned. We'll definitely be letting you guys know when that's coming. And in the meanwhile, check out the Countdown Trader. We've got a lot of information like what I share in these free videos and a whole lot more over there. And gang, I'll see you in the next update.
Without simpler trading, I could not have financial independence.
This is one of the best investments I ever made in my life.
It's helping me find consistency.
It's one of the things that won me